The Assembly is now in session. Assemblymember Holden notices the absence of a quorum. The sergeants at arms will prepare the chamber and bring in the absent members. The clerk will call the roll.
Ashajian, Alejo, Allen, Baker, Bigelow, Bloom, Bonilla, Bonta, Bro, Brown, Burke, Calderon, Campos, Chang, Chow, Chavez, David Chu, Kansan Chu, Cooley, Cooper, Dababne, Daly, Daly, Dodd, Eggman, Frazier, Gaines, Gallagher, Christina Garcia, Eduardo Garcia, Gatto, Gibson, Gomez, Gonzalez, Gordon, Gray, Grove, Hadley, Harper, Hernandez, Holden, Irwin, Jones, Jones Sawyer, Kim, Lackey, Levine, Linder, Lopez, Lowe, Mainshine, Mathis, Mays, McCarty, Medina, Melendez, Mullen, Nazarian, Obernolte, O'Donnell, Olson, Patterson, Perea, Quirk, Rendon, Ridley Thomas, Rodriguez, Salas, Santiago, Steinorth, Stone, Thurman, Ting, Wagner, Waldron, Weber, Wilk, Williams, Wood. Madam Speaker.
Members, please report to the floor. Lots of business before the Assembly today. Members, please report to the floor so we may begin session. Members, a quorum is present. A quorum is present in the Assembly. We ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and in the gallery to please stand for the prayer. The day's prayer. The day's prayer will be offered by our guest chaplain, Assembly Member Rich Gordon. Mr. Gordon.
Lord, we have accepted a life of public service. Perhaps we did so without realizing it would put us on an emotional roller coaster. We are at the heights when we win an election or see a bill get passed. But just as quickly, we can sink to the depths when there's a critical letter to the editor or a vote goes against us. Help us to navigate these peaks and valleys so that we can stay on the simple, straightforward path to which you have called us. In this place, may we see the humanity that we all share. May we nurture and support each other through our highs and our lows. And may our only horizon be fixed on what is best for the people we have pledged to serve. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. We ask our guests and visitors to remain standing and join us for the flag salute. Please join Assembly Member O'Donnell as he leads us in the pledge. Mr. O'Donnell.
Yes, put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Thank you. You may be seated. Reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Thursday, August 27, 2015. The Assembly met at 9 a.m. Honorable David Chu, Assistant Speaker Pro Tem of the Assembly, presiding. Chief Clerk E. Dotson Wilson at the desk. Reading Clerk Kathleen M. Lewis reading. The roll was called. Assembly Member Weber moved a quorum call. The Assembly.
Mr. Holden moves and Ms. Waldron seconds. That the reading of the previous day's journal be dispensed with. Presentations of petitions, there are none. Introduction and reference of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Messages from the governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Moving to motions and resolutions, the absences for the day, there are none. Members, today is the last day to put a one-day file notice across the desk for a conference committee meeting to be held on Tuesday, September 8th. It is also the last day to amend bills on the Assembly floor prior to September 11th. Mr. Holden, you are recognized for your procedural motions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 and allow Assembly Member Nazarian to speak on adjourned memory today.
Without objection, the request is granted.
At the request of the author, please send the following bills to the inactive file. File Item 74, Senate Bill 775, Allen. File Item 104, Senate Bill 33, Hernandez. File Item 113, Senate Bill 763, Leno. File Item 114, Senate Bill 23, Mitchell. Senate Bill 133, File Item 133, Senate Bill 468, Hill.
Without objection, that request is granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Pursuant to Assembly Rule 77.2, I am re-referring the following bills to committee. File Item 28, AB 477, Mullen, and File Item 39, AB 1020, Ridley Thomas, to the Elections and Redistricting Committee. File Item 41, AB 1060, Bonilla, to the Health Committee. I am also rescinding the action whereby Senate Bill 145 PAN was re-referred to the Rules Committee pursuant to Assembly Rule 77.2, and am re-referring the bill to the Health Committee. Members, we will recess the regular session for the purpose of convening the first extraordinary session. Without objection, we will substitute the prayer, pledge, and other opening procedures in the regular session for those items in the first extraordinary session.
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 63 and allow Assemblymember Frazier to take up Senate Bill 4, Bell, without reference to committee or file for purposes of amendment.
Without objection, Ms. Waldron.
We object to that motion.
You do object to the motion? So Mr. Holden is moving and Ms. Garcia is seconding that we suspend the rules. Members, this is a procedural vote. Clerk will open the roll. It's on a rule suspension, members. Not debatable. Takes a majority of those. 41 votes in the chamber. Mr. Holden is asking for an aye vote, and Ms. Waldron is asking for a no vote. Clerk will close the roll. Ayes 46, noes 22. The rules are suspended. The clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 4 with amendments by Assemblymember Frazier.
Mr. Frazier, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. These amendments are technical in nature and will help the process should transportation negotiations progress. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. The bill is out to print and back on file. The first extraordinary session is recessed under call of the Speaker. We will now move to convene the second extraordinary session. Without objection, we will substitute the prayer, pledge, and other opening procedures in the regular session for those items in the second extraordinary session. Mr. Holden, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 63 and allow Assemblymember Bonta to take up Senate Bill 2, Hernandez, without reference to committee or file for purposes of amendments.
Ms. Waldron, you are recognized.
And we oppose that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Waldron. Again, Mr. Holden is moving that we suspend the rules. It's seconded by Ms. Garcia. This is procedural, members. Clerk will open the roll. Mr. Holden is asking for an aye vote, and Ms. Olson is asking for a no vote. This is on a rules suspension. 41 votes required, members. Clerk will close the roll. Ayes 49, noes 26. The rules are suspended. The clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 2 with amendments by Assemblymember Bonta.
Mr. Bonta, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to present amendments to SB X22 by Senator Hernandez. The amendments are technical in nature. I ask that these amendments be adopted.
Thank you, Ms. Bonta. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Bills out to print and back on file. The second extraordinary session is recessed under call of the Speaker. We are back in the regular session. Business on the daily file. Members, we are going to move to Senate third reading to deal with the amendments before us today. We are going to start with file item 55. That is SB 501 for the purpose of amendments. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 501 with amendments by Assemblymember Cristina Garcia.
Ms. Garcia on the amendments.
These amendments make a modest change to the bill. These amendments represent the author's good faith efforts to respond to the concerns of the credit unions, and they delete the provision in the bill relating to car loans in a bankruptcy. I urge and I vote.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Bills out to print and back on file. On the amendments, members, moving to file item 60. That's SB 405 for the purpose of amendment. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 405 with amendments by Assemblymember Atkins.
Madam Speaker, you may open on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 405 by Senator Hertzberg guarantees access to the court system for individuals who may have failed to appear in court or pay a fine on time. The amendments to SB 405 limit the amount of applicants excluded from the traffic amnesty program, clarify that the Judicial Council and the DMV may restore licenses to persons who participate in amnesty by going to any county where they have unpaid court-ordered debt. It has bipartisan support and received no votes. I would ask for your aye votes on these amendments.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Bills out to print and back on file. Moving to file item 66, that's SB 762 for the purpose of amendment. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 762 with amendments by Assemblymember Ridley Thomas.
Mr. Ridley Thomas on the amendments.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, rise to present amendments to SB 762 by our colleague from Yolo County in the Upper House. The amendments are at the request of the county's Board of Supervisors. They're very minor in nature, and we respectfully request an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Ridley Thomas. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Bill is out to print and back on file. File item 69, Senate Bill 291 for the purpose of amendment. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 291 with amendments by Assemblymember O'Donnell.
Mr. O'Donnell on the amendments.
Mr. Speaker and members, the amendments to SB 291 make technical changes to the bill and add co-authors. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. O'Donnell. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. The bill is out to print and back on file. File item 72, SB 540 for the purpose of amendment. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 540 with amendments by Assemblymember Breaux.
Mr. Breaux on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present amendments on behalf of Senator Hertzberg's SB 540. These amendments, at the request of the Governor's Office, notify the Franchise Tax Board whenever relief is granted through the taxpayer advocate. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Breaux. Without objection, we'll be taking a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. The bill is out to print and back on file. File item 76, SB 308 for the purpose of amendments. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 308 with amendments by Assemblymember Stone.
Mr. Stone on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. These are Senator Bykowski's attempt to address some of the concerns of the opposition. I request your support of these amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Amendments are adopted. Bills out to print and back on file. File item 77, SB 475. The clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 475 with amendments by Assemblymember Brown.
Ms. Brown on the amendments.
Mr. Speaker, members, the amendments to SB 475 specify that the interest shall accrue as simple interest and to be compounded annually. They also provide a year-long grace period until 2017 that will allow new continuing care retirement community projects under development to use existing lump sum contracts. These amendments remove opposition of Leading Age, the nonprofit Community Care Retirement Communities Association. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Amendments are adopted. Bill is out to print and back on file. We will take up file item 78. That's SB 792 for the purpose of amendment. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 792 with amendments by Assemblymember Mathis.
Mr. Mathis on the amendments.
Mr. Speaker and members, this body passed SB 277 in large part due to the thought that we must have herd immunity to protect our children. I was clear then, and it is my position now, that government should not be taking away a parent's rights to make the best decisions for their children. However, as was argued during the hearing on SB 277 and SB 792, this herd immunity is also needed to protect children who cannot be vaccinated because they have compromised immune system. If we are truly supportive of the herd concept and truly concerned about all children, then we must be consistent with our policies. We should not pick and choose for political reasons. Accordingly, SB 792 should be amended to include all adults who are employed in all schools and daycare settings. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mathis. Mr. Holden, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I move to lay the amendments on the table.
Mr. Holden is moving that we lay the amendments on the table. Ms. Garcia is seconding that we lay the amendments on the table. Members, this is a procedural vote. Clerk will open the roll. Mr. Holden is asking for an aye vote. Ms. Waldron is asking for a no vote. Mr. Holden is asking for an aye vote to lay the amendments on the table. Requires a majority of those present and voting. Clerk will close the roll. Ayes 45, noes 23. The amendments are laid on the table. Mr. Thurmond, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. As I was saying, I rise to present.
Mr. Thurmond, my error. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 792 with amendments by Assemblymember Thurmond.
Apologies, Mr. Thurmond. You may now open.
None needed. Members, I rise to present amendments for SB 792 by Mr. Mendoza. This bill protects young, vulnerable children by making sure that for those who care for them in child care settings that they're vaccinated against serious contagious illnesses. The amendments provide uniformity and clarify that volunteers who provide care and supervision to children will be included. Also, the amendments provide additional time for employees or volunteers to provide immunization records. I respectfully request that the amendments be adopted and the bill sent out to print and placed back on file.
Thank you, Mr. Thurmond. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. The bill is out to print and back on file. File item 80, SB 251. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 251 with amendments by Assemblymember Stone.
Mr. Stone on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, these are chaptering out amendments for SB 251, and I ask for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Amendments are adopted. Bills out to print and back on file. File item 82, SB 320. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 320 with amendments by Assemblymember Thurmond.
We are going to pass temporarily on file item 82. File item 83, SB 324 for the purpose of amendments. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 324 with amendments by Assemblymember Irwin.
Ms. Irwin, on the amendments.
The amendments are minor. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Irwin. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Bills out to print and back on file. File item 84, SB 414. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 414 by Assemblymember Williams with amendments.
Mr. William, on the amendments.
I rise on the amendments on 414. This is one of the bills that Senator Jackson and I are doing in response to the oil spill in our district. The amendments are technical and clarifying. Specifically, they strike the requirement that OSPR develop regulations on oil spill response organizations to allow commercial fishing vessels and crews to be paid responders, and instead requires OSPR to study and report back to the legislature on how best to utilize commercial fishing vessels and crews. Secondly, it removes technology-specific directions to OSPR and in its development of a best achievable protection report. And thirdly, places the responsibility for performing a vessel traffic risk assessment with the harbor safety committees instead of OSPR, which is normal. Ask for your aye on amendments.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Bill is out to print and back on file. Members, we are going back to file item 82. That's SB 320 for the purpose of amendments. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 320 with amendments by Assemblymember Thurmond.
Mr. Thurmond on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to present amendments for SB 320 by Senator Lara. These amendments provide clarity in the pupil fee appeal process, including making technical changes to the bill. I ask for these amendments to be adopted and to be put out to print and placed back on file.
Thank you, Mr. Thurmond. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Amendments are adopted. Bill is out to print and back on file. We are moving to file item 87, members. That's SB 519 for the purpose of amendment. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 519 with amendments by Assemblymember Jones Sawyer.
Mr. Jones Sawyer on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 519 is a technical cleanup bill for SB 261 by Senator Hancock, which was approved on this floor on a bipartisan vote. The administration has some concerns with implementation deadlines in that bill. The amendments to SB 519 addresses the administration's concerns by adding an additional 6 months to that bill's deadlines. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on the amendments and to send them back to print and out and back on the file.
Close enough. Thank you, Ms. Jones Sawyer. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Bill is out to print and back on file. File item 88, SB 610 for the purpose of amendments. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 610 with amendments by Assemblymember Bonta.
Mr. Bonta on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise for the purpose of amendments to SB 610 by Senator Pan. These amendments simply address the chaptering out conflicts with AB 858 Wood. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Bonta. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Bill is out to print and back on file. File item 90, that's SB 660 for the purpose of amendments. Clerk will read with amendments.
Senate Bill 660 with amendments by Assemblymember Rendon.
Mr. Rendon, you may open.
Mr. Speaker, SB 660 reforms the California Public Utilities Commission's ex parte communications requirements. Today's amendments make clarifying changes regarding what constitutes an administrative matter. The amendments also modify the requirement to convene all party conferences in contested cases unless waived by all parties. I ask for your aye vote on amendments to SB 660.
Thank you, Mr. Rendon. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Bill is out to print and back on file. File item 91, we will pass temporarily.